In this video, we're going to go over everything you have to know about the F equals MA exam. We'll look at the format, the rules of the exam, some of the common topics, and what you need to pass the exam. The format of the exam is quite simple. You get 75 minutes to answer 25 multiple choice questions. There are 5 choices per question, A, B, C, D, and E, and you should mark that on your answer sheet. On average, you get 3 minutes per question, but note that not all questions are equal in difficulty. Unlike a competition like the AMC, the questions in the F equals MA are not explicitly distributed in difficulty. Therefore, questions at the end might be easier than ones towards the beginning. There is no definite distribution. When you're taking the exam, you do not get provided an equation sheet, nor can you bring your own. However, what you are provided is that the gravitational acceleration at the surface of the Earth is 10 meters per second squared. This is an approximation that makes math much easier because the actual value is closer to 9.8. Using 10 just makes the exam easier. You're allowed to use a scientific calculator. However, you're not allowed to use the graphing calculator capabilities of something like a TI-84. You can still use it depending on your proctor, but you shouldn't be using the graphing features. A very important note about this exam is that though every question is not the same difficulty, every question is worth the same amount. Getting question 1 right is worth the same as getting question 25 right. And that's why you should be trying to go for every question that you think you can solve first. Another thing is that an incorrect answer does not deduct points. It's worth the same as leaving the answer blank. So what that means is you should guess on every answer. There's no harm in guessing, and you shouldn't leave blanks. Here are some of the common topics and what we'll be going over in this course. What you'll see is that these topics are quite reminiscent of what you might see in a high school class, or especially the AP Physics 1 class. However, though these topics are the same, you do not go over the same kind of content. You have to go over different types of problem-solving strategies, even though it's the same topic. And as you can see on this list, there are a couple things you might not have heard of before, such as error propagation. This is a newer development on the exam, but it contributes at least one question in every recent year. There's also fluids, which is very rare on the exam, though it has appeared a couple of times. This just serves to prove how the exam is evolving over time, and that's why we should get prepared in all of these topics. If you want to pass the exam, you need to get higher than the cutoff score, a score that's determined by the test writers after everyone takes the exam. This cutoff score is somewhere between 14 and 16 on average, but it varies every year, because their goal is to invite the top 500 scoring students. In some years where the test questions might be easier, that cutoff score might exceed 16, and in some years where it's more difficult, we might see a lower cutoff score. So know that the cutoff score depends on how hard the exam is. Another thing to note is that the mean and median scores fall around 7 or 8. What this means is that these scores are just slightly higher than guessing every question on the exam. If you just guessed on the exam, you would get 5 out of 25 on average. So that means with a bit of preparation, you can surely get higher than guessing. And what you realize is that if you do enough preparation, you should be able to exceed these people that are just above the guessing score. Don't be discouraged though if your initial takes of the exam are not a high score. This exam is about experience in solving many problems and getting used to using problem-solving strategies. That's it for this video. Hopefully you understand what the F equals MA exam is and you're prepared on test day for what's coming.